So I have a statement that I need to read first in order to convene us. The statement is, I, Bill Lapini, Superintendent of SAU 21 Schools and the presiding officer of this board until the reorganization to follow, am invoking an emergency meeting of the SAU 21, of the Seabrook School Board. I have determined that immediate action is imperative and the physical presence of a quorum is not reasonably practical due to COVID-19 as per Governor Chris Sununu's Emergency Order Number 16, temporary prohibition on scheduled gatherings of 10 or more attendees. Additionally, Governor Sununu's Emergency Order Number 12 specifically suspends the physical quorum requirement of 91A2 and also waives the requirement under 91A2 3B that a physical meeting location be available to the public and specifies that state and local government bodies are permitted and encouraged to conduct meetings through electronic means while preserving, to the extent feasible, the public's right to notice of such meetings and ability to observe and listen contemporaneously. As such, this meeting is being conducted remotely via Zoom and is accessible by the public in real time by logging in online or by telephone. The access information for that was provided on our agenda. Throughout this meeting, each member participating remotely must identify those present at the location from whence that member is participating per 91A23C. So we'll need to know if there's someone else at your location for members. In addition, a roll call vote will be held for all votes per 91A23E. So we'll need to take a roll call on each action item. So I will now call for nominations for the board chair. Are there nominations for chair of the Seabrook School Board?
Oh, you might have to turn your microphone on for that piece.
You'll have to turn, Jessica, do I see?
I'm gonna make a motion to nominate Mike Rabideau. I think that it would be great if we could go back to the person going out being the board to get some sort of unity.
Okay, so there's a nomination of Mike Rabideau as chair of the Seabrook School Board. Is there a second?
I would second that.
Seconded by Mr. Carter. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? Seeing none, I'll ask for a roll call vote on the nomination of Mr. Rabideau as chair.
Hold on just a moment. Let me get up on board docs.
Okay.
So we have Jessica Brown making the motion.
Forrest Carter is the second.
And then I have Jessica. We'll do the vote. I'll just read down through your names and I'll plug in your vote on board docs if that's okay with everybody. You just need to turn your microphone on in order to respond. So Jessica.
Aye.
Forrest.
Yes.
Jennifer.
Yes.
And Kelly.
Yes.
Mike, are you casting a vote or are you going to abstain?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seeing that vote, congratulations, Mr. Rabideau.
Thank you.
You'll run the meeting from this point forward and I'll help wherever I can, okay?
Okay. Basically, because we have the meeting minutes to approve from the last meeting?
Nope, I'm sorry, your next item is election of a board vice chair.
Election of board vice president. All right, yes, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I will take nominations for vice president, or vice board chair.
I would nominate Jessica Brown as vice chair.
I'll second that.
Okay, hold on just a moment. I have Forrest Carter nominating Jessica Brown. And who was the second?
Kelly
Kelly.
Huber.
Okay. And Mike Rabideau. Your vote?
All right, I have a first and a second for Jessica Brown. Are there any discussions regarding that? Hearing none, seeing none. I guess, Rhonda, please take the vote.
Okay. Mike? Your vote?
Jessica? Yes, sorry.
Yes.
Yes.
And Jessica Brown? Or you want to vote or you want to abstain?
Abstain.
Forrest Carter?
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard?
Yes.
And Kelly Huber?
Yes.
Great. Congratulations, Jessica. You're now the vice chair.
Thank you. You too.
All right, Bill.
So your
meeting
next
notes?
item is committee appointments.
Oh, wow.
You should have that list. And look at that, we have 2 done already, chair and vice chair. How about that?
Okay. We have, a lot of them. Let's see, we have the operations committee. Correct? Anybody interested in attending? It actually occurs about a week or so before each of the joint board chair or joint board meetings, which is about 4 times a year.
This is the group that largely sets the agenda for the joint board meeting and also is essentially the budget committee for the SAU.
Mike, what night do they typically meet on? Do you know?
Boy, when I want to say Wednesday or Tuesday.
So
Okay.
we have I think 1 more remaining this year.
Right.
That's flexible, Jessica.
Okay, I can do it as long as it's not on a Wednesday night.
Okay,
So I can volunteer for that.
we'll make a note of that.
Right. There's one. The other one is the policy committee.
Nope, hold on, we need an alternate.
Yeah, you need an alternate for that,
Alternate
Mike.
for it. All right.
I could be alternate for that.
Of course. OC, policy.
Okay. Now you're the policy, Mike. Sorry.
Okay. Now the policy one.
What is the schedule for a policy committee?
The policy committee, basically, we're doing the recommendations for first reads and going through anywhere from 5 to a couple dozen, depending on what the meeting is. Right now, we're mostly getting into the more specific than the mandated. And that's I think it's every 4.
So our schedule that we created for this year, which will probably be similar next year, is every other month. It's a 4:30 meeting. It's generally an hour to an hour and a half, but we meet late in the afternoon rather than the evening. That census of the group at the time, and we generally are together for about an hour
Right.
Winnicott High School.
at Winnicott High School.
At
Yes.
Winnicott, right. Exactly.
We do have additional attendees that have joined the meeting. We have Janine Richards, Cindy Fagan, and Mark Dangora.
Thank you.
I can take on the policy as the head on that one, but I definitely need a second. Or
So we need
vice.
an alternate.
Alternate, right.
I'll be an alternate.
Great. Thank
That
you.
would be great. Okay.
Mike, I just want to say this about the next 2 groupings, because not many people can say this. We do not need a C negotiations team, and we do not need a CESPA negotiations team.
All right.
Yay.
Cross those suckers
Name
out.
it. Okay. So do we actually need names, obviously, for that?
No, you do not.
Oh, really? Okay.
We're down to facilities committee.
All right. Facilities committee meets monthly?
I don't know, Mr. Farrar, do you want to chime in here? Because you would know that.
Yeah, as So that's on a more of a quarterly basis. So we typically meet in the mornings.
I could do facilities. And those meeting in the morning, quarterly, you were saying, Matt?
No, it's flexible. Yeah, historically we've done it quarterly and like 8:30 in the morning, but we could schedule around your or around your calendar.
I'm fine with early. Early is good. Excellent. Yeah, I can do facilities.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you.
And I can be the alternate on that one.
Terrific. And, oh, now we're to budget committee. There's no time commitment there, right? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody want to step up to be the representative for the board on the as the budget committee?
I can do it.
Okay.
I know it's, some of you can't, so it makes it difficult.
Mhm. It's
And we'll
a
need an
little difficult
alternate.
first time through. I could be the alternate on that unless Kelly or Jessica or Jen wants to be that.
Yeah, I can do it. It's fine.
Okay. Good.
Great. Thank you.
There is a learning curve to it, and I think if you just attend a meeting or two,
Yeah.
then you'll catch the majority of it.
And then the last one on this list, I believe,
Is
is the NHSBA delegate. That is essentially a one-time commitment.
right.
The delegates get together once a year to vote on resolutions to advance to the legislature. It's in January, I believe, and it's in Concord. But you in this role tend to be the person who most corresponds with the School Boards Association.
Right. So I think I will take that one this time around. I know Forrest has done it in a couple years, and unless he wants it,
I do not.
okay.
I'm just gonna be blunt right there. It's
Yeah.
really not a difficult thing to do. I just think some of their meetings are scheduled in times that really don't work with my schedule. So
Right.
take it away. It's all yours.
Okay.
And we
I'll
just
take
need an
that
alternate.
one this year. Okay, we have a full roster.
Do we have an alternate?
Forrest, how about being the alternate?
Really want me to get in there, don't you? All right. I'm totally cool with being alternate for that.
Okay, great.
Thank you for that.
They've actually got some great online trainings they're doing right now too. So now would be the time to kind of jump in on a couple of them, and pretty good stuff. A lot of it with the remote learning, a lot of it with things like that. So
Now, is that directed to your email address specifically? I don't
I think
remember.
you all receive it.
yeah, they should come up right in your email.
All board members do get the NHSBA emails.
Right, I'm probably not reading into that aspect of it because I'm not into it before.
And
Okay.
Rhonda, have we provided them with the updates yet? I know the updates caught us right in the middle of this closure, so.
Yes, the NHSBA contacts, I've already updated all of our email addresses for the new boards.
Great, thank you.
Good. Okay. Step
So we
one.
need a
Go ahead.
motion for the committee appointments.
I'll take a motion to accept the committee appointments as listed.
I'll second that.
Okay.
Is Forrest, is he making the motion or who made the motion?
I'll make the motion. That's fine.
Okay.
No discussions. All those in favor?
Now you gotta do a roll call, sorry.
I'm gonna do a roll call. Mike Rabideau,
Aye.
Jessica Brown,
Yes. Aye.
Forrest Carter,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Aye.
and Kelly Huber.
Hi,
Kelly, am I pronouncing your name correctly?
you are.
Okay, great.
Great. Okay. Now the meeting minutes, I presume.
No, sorry, we've allowed the agenda for public comment here if there's any.
Okay.
If there's any attendees that would like to make comment, we're going to ask that you, I think there's a tab on there that you can raise your hand or submit a question in the chat. I'm not seeing anything.
Moving along. The meeting minutes, for some reason, I've lost my entire agenda. I don't know where it is. I'm looking for it earlier. I know I printed it out, but it's gone.
Okay, I can help you.
Oh, I appreciate that one. The meeting minutes for
February 3rd.
February 3rd. All right. Any comments, additions, corrections that we know of?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of February 3rd.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you.
And at this, let me just add that at this transition, people who were not part of the board, you should feel comfortable to abstain on this item.
So I have a first and a second. Any further discussions? I guess not, since there's only three of us. All right. Ron, do I have a vote? Yes?
Mike, your vote?
Yes, please.
Jessica?
Yes.
Forrest?
Yes.
Jennifer?
Abstained.
And Kelly?
Abstained.
Great. Thank you.
The next item is the finance report from Mr. Farrar.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the board, Jennifer and Kelly. Typically, we will schedule an orientation to review finances and kind of give you an overall process for our budget and how we monitor our finances. However, hopefully we can do that in person, so that'll likely be scheduled when our buildings are back in operation. That being said, on a monthly basis, we do provide a revenue and an expenditure report. This tracks, our current year budget. So that'd be our 2019-2020 year-to-date fiscal operating budget by line item for all of our accounts, and it tracks whether we're under budget or we have or we're over any particular account. Additionally, the revenue report includes similarly a tracking of the revenue that we receive. So that would be our state adequacy aid, Medicaid funding, any sort of donations, our food service revenue, and similarly it tracks whether we're above or below budget. So we're late in the year, so I'm not going to go account by account, particularly since this isn't an abridged remote meeting. However, for future reference, whenever we do have a significant variation, I typically try to point it out to you and the rationale or the reasoning why we're either above or below. On a very high level, this year's operating budget is over budget. We've encountered some significant special education costs this year, upwards of $420,000. As such, we will likely be coming to the school board in May to request a withdrawal from the either the Special Education Expendable Trust or the Building Maintenance Expendable Trust. However, we are closely monitoring how we're tracking. Due to the closure, we are recognizing some savings, so that might change depending on the length of the closure. It might change how much we have to withdraw from the trust. So that's something that I will, I typically review with the board on a monthly basis, and I please encourage you to always feel welcome to give me a call, shoot me an email if you have any questions, particularly when we're in a kind of a remote mode. I'd be happy to work with you one-on-one to better understand where we are from an operating budget standpoint. So be happy to answer any questions if you have any for this evening.
Matt, are you able to, I know it's early and you mentioned it already, any forecast which you think we may be saving at some point, say we're a month or two out from not having school?
Yeah, so that's very difficult, not knowing the length of time that we're going to be out. However, there are certain accounts that we know that will recognize savings. So that includes transportation. We're not transporting kids to field trips or athletics. We don't have our daily special education transportation. We're not paying, currently, I mean, if we don't have sports, we're not going to be paying out stipends to coaches. We are keeping the building at a minimal, as low cost as possible as far as heat. So we have it set at the lowest possible temperature in order to save on heating fuels. The same goes for electricity. So anything that can be unplugged is unplugged. So that we're not drawing down on electricity. Supplies, we're not going through paper. We're not going through ink. We're not going through, copiers, copy usage. So there's a number of accounts where we will recognize savings. It's difficult to make any estimates until we have a better idea of how long this is going to last.
Mm-hmm. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from Mr. Farrar? Matt, you then have the audit governance letter
Yes.
on the agenda.
So the audits governance letter. So every year we have our annual audit. That's conducted in the August timeframe, and typically I report back to the school board some preliminary audit results in the September, October months, which I did this past, I believe it was September this past year. So, however, now the audit has completed. So we do have final audit results in, and I do want to note we had 4 recommendations from our auditors. I believe 3 of the 4 were included in the preliminary results, but they included a recommendation to update our policies, which we are addressing via our policy committee. They have recommended that we institute course reimbursement procedures. Otherwise, we are liable, and the employee is liable for taxes on those reimbursements up to a certain dollar amount without a written procedure. However, we have done that since. So that is in place for our non-union staff. Previously, it was we had only had procedures in place for our CBA, our union employees. So that'd be our teachers, our paraprofessionals. But we've since instituted it for all of our staff. So that means that, just in very simply, previously any reimbursement would have been considered a fringe benefit. Now it's a qualified expense. Additionally, we have a recommendation to monitor and to collect our food service negative student balances. So we have a fairly significant student food service balance. There's very limited action that we can take based on state and federal law as far as collecting those balances. There's very little recourse. We can only reach out to these families via, we call them, we send them emails, letters, but we can't punish the students, and frankly, that is the correct manner in doing this. We don't want to punish the student for an outstanding balance. Finally, however, I will note that we are doing everything in our power to collect those balances. And finally, we did have one deposit that was not deposited in a timely fashion. Typically, we want to make all deposits within 1 week, and this was closer to a month. So we are working with the school to make certain that all deposits are deposited in a timely fashion going forward. I'd be happy to answer any additional questions in regard to this audit governance letter.
And we're all set with the electronic signatures on any up and coming.
Yes, so we are all set. I will likely be sending all of you emails via DocuSign to review and approve our most recent payroll manifest. In addition to the email, you'll receive a text message from me that has a unique access code for each of you that you will need to enter to access DocuSign. And in addition, you should be receiving an MS-22 document that will need to be signed, as well as an accounts payable manifest within the next couple days. I would expect that going forward, you'll receive documents every 2 weeks. Once we get into, we have a bit of a backlog, but once we get into the flow, it'll probably be every 2 weeks.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Matt. So the next item, if there are any other questions on that, is an update on COVID-19. And so we'll keep this brief here today because we've scheduled a joint board session for tomorrow afternoon exclusively devoted to this issue. So, and I'm going to ask each person to sort of focus in on the things that they've been working on among the SAU people and your principals. So real quickly, let me just say for my part, we're going to be scheduling a letter to go out with some updates. Chief among those is that we anticipate now that we may have by Friday an extension to the April 3rd remote learning order of the governors. The commissioner briefed us today that we should be indicating to people, and we will in this letter, that we absolutely expect that it's going to go beyond April 3rd. And we're hoping to have some sort of update from the governor and commissioner on Friday. There's been talk of through April vacation. There, quite frankly, has been talk of the remainder of the year. But I believe that this would be done in increments, probably another 2 to 3 weeks through what was to be our April vacation, and then they would go through there. And we're hoping to have that information by Friday. The other thing is that the commissioner is in the process of applying for a waiver with the U.S. Department of Education that would suspend all statewide testing for this year. So that would be the SAT that's administered to high school students and the statewide assessment for elementary students. He has not submitted the waiver yet. Most states have already applied for and been granted their waivers. We have not yet, and there's a lot of pressure on the commissioner to do that now rather than wait so that we know where we stand with respect to testing. So Dr. Hobbs, can I start with you? Just ask you to give a brief on some of the areas you've been working on.
Sure, thanks. Well, I think you all had a chance to look at the plan that we put together upon school closure. That really kind of outlined where we were with respect to curriculum, instruction, assessment. I'll just kind of highlight some of the main things that have been going on. First of all, with respect to technology, we made a big push kind of when school closed to make sure that teachers and students had devices they needed. We've set up kind of a help desk model for students, parents, and teachers with regard to using Zoom, Google Meet, Hangouts, and that kind of thing. We've got the backbone of our instruction, at least from grades 3 through 12, it has been Google Classroom. We've had a lot of success with that, but it's, you know, a constantly evolving thing. I'm going to leave the hotspot conversation to Caroline. The other thing that I wanted to, a few other things. One is teacher accountability. We've set up a system whereby we're able to get a rough estimate of what's going on in terms of lesson planning in each one of our classes, the amount of time teachers are putting in teaching, the amount of time students are expected to do work throughout the course of the day, participation rates, and also support staff and staff without traditional classrooms like BCBAs, paras, EAs, that kind of thing. So we're able to kind of keep a picture, if you will, of the teaching and learning that's going on online throughout the SAU. I've been actually relaying that on a weekly basis to principals, so they're able to kind of browse through their staff and see what's going on.
Hey, Dave, can I stop you there for a second?
Sure.
On this monitoring, are you having or getting any assistance from a statewide basis, so it's standardized, or is it more by SAU?
This has been by SAU, and again, today's the commissioner's webinar kind of put it in that context. This is being done on an SAU basis. In my opinion, we put together a pretty comprehensive plan compared with some other SAU plans that I've seen. However, everybody's coming at it a little differently.
Can we sell it and market it? I mean, we're ahead of the curve. I mean,
Yes,
Bill's been way ahead of it.
That'll be our fundraising when this is over. Yes, we'll be marketing the plan. Yes.
It just so happens that we did schedule today a meeting of all Seacoast curriculum coordinators and assistant superintendents. That's scheduled for, ironically, April 1st, 10 a.m. We're going to have kind of a powwow about how we're all approaching this on a more regional level. So yeah, hopefully it will catch on. I just wanted to, a couple more things. One is on the state testing. Bill
Oh, sorry,
mentioned Bill mentioned the SAT, and I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that the AP is in constant evolution right now. We're in touch with them, and also the statewide assessment system, or SAS. No action formally has been taken by the DOE on that, but we're anticipating that that's going to get pushed off. And certification, I just wanted to make sure I touched on that. We're in a position now where we're getting a lot of leeway with respect to professional development related to this closure. In other words, all the extra time and preparation that teachers are putting in as a result of the closure and online instruction can be counted towards PD. So we're making actually some pretty good progress with regard to certification and making sure our teachers carry their certifications into next year. The tone has been positive in terms of teaching and learning. We've had our first remote episode of WHTV come out from the high school, which was really interesting. We're getting weekly messages from our principals, which I'm sure they'll share with you guys. And we've even got some songs, some guitar performances going around the SAU, which has been great to hear.
Thank you. So I'm just really cognizant of the time, and I know at least one or two people here have schedule commitments. So Dr. Killian, can I go to you, and then Mr. Farrar, and then the principals, and just cognizant that we need to get to non-public and those issues before we start losing board members.
Absolutely. So quickly, special education, piggybacking on the teaching and learning, we continue to have meetings and provide instruction and services, in touch with families and students. We're pushing in some social emotional learning resources. We're about to plan some open forums for teachers and specialists. Regarding meals, we are providing free lunches and breakfasts at Seabrook and Winnacunnet on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So on all those days, families can pick up 2 days worth of meals on each one of those days. You do not need to qualify for free and reduced lunch. You do not need to sign up. Anyone can come to either location from our SAU districts and pick up those meals. We also have delivery, 2 routes that are out of Seabrook, and we have a bus stop schedule that's posted on our website and on the Seabrook website. So families just need to look at the bus stop schedule, and they can meet the bus at any of those stops, and they're welcome to reach out to us at any time if those are not convenient for them. We will change the route as many times as we need to. I can move on to Wi-Fi. So we're working on internet access for all families to make sure we have an equitable instructional access for all families. We sent out a survey, I guess it was just a week ago, and
Seems like months, right?
it really seems like a long time ago, but so we identified 30 families who do not have reliable Wi-Fi at home. So we ordered some hotspots. They're mobile devices you can borrow. However, they won't be in for a couple weeks. So our social workers, Maria Easton at Seabrook, is calling all of these families. She's calling half, and the Winnacunnet social worker is calling the other half to help them navigate the other options, because luckily for us, Comcast and all of the cell phone providers have waived lots of restrictions and fees and overages, and you don't even have to qualify, you know, based on low income or anything. They've opened up Xfinity hotspots completely free for anyone, even if you're not a Comcast customer. Atlantic Broadband's doing the same thing. So the social workers are calling families, making sure they're aware of this. And we just want to whittle down the, you know, whoever's left that does not have access, and then we'll put something in place for them. So that's currently what's going on with getting Wi-Fi for all our families.
Great. Mr. Farrar?
Okay, real briefly, in regards to facilities, the safety of our students and staff are first priority. So what we've done is we've limited access to our buildings as much as we can. We have certain staff that do need to access the building. That would include our school nutrition workers who are providing these very important meals. We do have occasional facilities needs that need to be taken care of, but otherwise we're really encouraging employees to not access our buildings. As part of this effort, we did contract with a professional remediation company to provide professional sanitizing and disinfectant of all our SAU 21 schools and buildings. This has occurred, it's actually finishing up today, and we will be doing another cleaning effort or disinfecting, sanitizing effort 48 hours to 72 hours prior to the return of students to our schools when we do reopen at that point in time.
Great. The only other SAU level item I would add is that we've decided, so we have a letter that I think will go out tonight, if not tonight, tomorrow morning, with some updates. A lot of it around things we've just told you. But we're also going to do a parent forum on Zoom on Saturday morning, and let parents ask us questions that they may have that we can either try to answer about sports and SATs and all these issues you've heard us talk about. Graduation, I'm sure there are going to be a bunch. When we're going back to school, all those kinds of things. And so either questions we can answer or questions that we can sort of divert to the right people. So that's our goal. And we're going to do those regularly as long as this goes on. I don't know what regularly means yet, but regularly. So with that, Aaron, Stephanie, do you want to, oh, is there a question?
I just want to tell you, don't rush on my account, Bill. My salon's closed for the week.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I'm not in any hurry.
Thank you. Aaron,
Um,
Stephanie?
I have one quick question. I'm sorry
Oh.
for Matt. I had someone come up to me at the store 2 days ago, asked me, are we providing any additional PPE for the workers in the cafeteria or in the food service?
Well, we've instructed our school nutrition directors to work with an abundance of caution and care as far as, you know, the handling of our food and being on premise. I mean, if you're asking if are we providing masks, no, we're not providing that type of PPE. We're just,
Hand gloves.
yeah, just gloves.
So we're sort of using standard procedures as usual with additional possible training to be more aware.
Right, and we're maintaining a limited staff so that there is very limited interaction between those team members. So we're certainly encouraging as much distance as possible. I will note that it's bag lunches, so in this environment, it's a little easier to be able to kind of work independently and have a little bit of distance as opposed to the normal food service operations with a full staff in the kitchen. So.
Thank you.
Karen, Stephanie?
Hi, first of all, welcome Kelly and Jen. It's great to have you guys on the board. I look forward to working with you in this capacity too. I just want to say that I cannot commend my staff. I possibly can't put into words the amount of work that they've done and the dedication. When they came in on Tuesday, it was just everybody on board, just people rotating around, remembering everything to like, we need to untap the maple syrup trees. And, you know, it was just everybody collaborating and making copies and running books and connecting with certain families. So they've been amazing, and that has continued on into this remote world that we're living in. They've been outreaching to every parent to make sure we're connected with every student. We've been troubleshooting any issues that students have had with devices and things of that nature. So it's really been wonderful, and we've had a lot of community organizations and individuals reach out offering support in any way, which has been fabulous as well. We, as you spoke about with the food distribution, we've had a number of our educational assistants volunteering to help with that as well. And people saying, I'm here, you know, use me however you need to. So it's just overall been really great. I think we've had a bit of a challenge with kindergarten through second grade because they don't have devices, but I mean, you should have seen the kindergarten packets, for instance, that went out with, they did 8 weeks worth of work just in case for some students who just needed more or in case it went longer. So I feel like we're in a pretty good position, and we've had some good communication with families, and a lot of people have said, wow, this has really pushed me with the technology, and when I get back into the classroom, it's going to be pretty robust and it's going to be pretty exciting. And a lot of sharing of ideas and so many resources and so many free things out there. For instance, like Scholastic, almost everything's free. You can download books. So we've had some great connections there. So, and thank you to the SAU for all their support. They've really been, you know, out in front of this, really leading the charge for this. And we feel like we're in a good position as a whole SAU. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I would echo really what Stephanie said. Staff is working tremendously hard. I think we have a lot of students who are feeling overwhelmed by the work. It's different, they're figuring it out, and our teams are reaching out to families and students and really trying to support them as best they can while figuring out this new world. I also have staff who really wouldn't say they were great users of a lot of technology, who are diving in and making it work and making it happen. So we've been very fortunate, I think, just because we do have such amazing dedicated staff, and our students are participating for the most part, and those who we know aren't participating or who are struggling with the internet issues, teachers are working with them and just trying to help them through, and we're using our school counselor and nurse to help students who are feeling stressed out by it all, and just really making it through. So I can't say enough about everyone through this process and making it as smooth as possible.
Thank you. So the only other thing I'll say on this is that we have started to put together, I'm not sure what we're calling it today. We've called it a few things, a list of, you know, what are we going to have in front of us as this goes on longer, right? What does it mean to graduations at the high school level? What does it mean to things like proms? What does it mean if there aren't any spring sports? What does it mean? Bob Casassa added to the list today for me. What does summer school look like? What kinds of compensatory services might we be looking at in special education? I mean, we don't know the answer to those, but we're trying to put together the questions so that as we start to deal with how long this goes on, we can begin to talk with the right people about formulating those answers, because there are going to be costs, and that's not all just money at the end of this, right? There are going to be things that we're going to have to answer that we've never dealt with before. And I think that's one of the reasons for doing things like forums and all for parents, is to begin to gather up some of what's on their mind. I heard a lot of questions early on this week about sports, for example, about spring sports, about applying to college, about grades, all those kinds of things. And we don't know the answers to those yet, but we know we have to start dealing with them.
Bill, more towards Dave. It'd be interesting to see at the end of all this where we are from a technology standpoint and what step we've made, that giant step out there into space, as far as you mentioned, free services we've never even thought of using before, such as Zoom for meetings. And it'd be nice to have like a synopsis of, okay, this is where we were, now this is where we are, and also how it's going to help the teachers in the classroom.
Yeah, I would agree. We're making a list of good, bad, and ugly, right? Of all the things that we've learned throughout this experience. And I think we can all contribute to that.
No. Okay, and again, more tomorrow afternoon at that joint board meeting, specifically to these issues. If you like, Mike, I can help move us on to the next item.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the next item is policy first read. There are a number of policies that were included with the materials. This is a first read for new members in particular. A first read means that you have a chance to look at them. It doesn't necessarily have to be for today,
right.
But as you have a chance to look at them, you can pose any questions to us on any of those policies that are recommended for adoption. Most of them are required by law, and so there are issues where our districts were behind in terms of complying with the law. And then the goal is that at next week's joint board meeting, they would be voted on by the joint, therefore become the policy in all of our school districts.
And normally we push it forward as all together, as opposed to each individual policy, just for their information.
Yes, no vote necessary today. This is a first read, but yes, when we get to next week, we would vote on them in total. There were individual members who wish to pull one out for some reason.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so the next is personnel, which would require us to go to non-public. We have a number of items to do in non-public. I will mention that there's a resignation, which I don't believe, I'm looking at Aaron and Rhonda in particular, as to whether that resignation requires a non-public. We have a math teacher at the middle level who has submitted her resignation effective at the end of the year. Sometimes we do resignations in a non-public, voted to accept the resignation. Your pleasure on that before it helps take you through the next meetings and then go to the non-public.
Okay. Before we have accepted it, but I think that given the time frame we have for these meetings now, if it's in, we have a copy of it, that's where it's going to have to go.
Mm-hmm.
Simplify it.
Okay. So you have a recommendation for us to accept the resignation of Valerie. It's Alaska. Is that correct, Aaron?
Yes.
For reading that.
Yeah,
right.
effect at the end of the school year.
Right.
So we'll need a motion and a second and then a vote on that.
I'll make a motion to accept Valerie's resignation effective the end of the school year.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussions on this? I'll take a vote. I
So
vote
Mike Rabideau, your vote?
yes. Yes, please.
Jessica Brown,
Yes.
Forrest Carter,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
and Kelly Huber.
Okay. So we have a joint board meeting scheduled for next Tuesday, the 31st at 4 p.m. your next meeting, we hope to be back on our regular schedule, whether it's remotely or in person, on Tuesday, April 14th at 4:30 PM. And so now we would be looking for a motion to go to non-public under RSA 91A32. And I believe, Rhonda, is it A and B?
A and B, yes, that's correct.
I'll
Reason
make
A
a
and B.
motion to go to non-public under 91A32 A and B.
Yes.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussions? We'll take a vote.
Okay,
Vote yes.
Mike Rabbit,
Roll call.
Mike
Roll
Rabbit,
call.
Aye.
Jessica,
Aye.
Forrest,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
and Kelly.
Yes.
So we'll need a moment, Rhonda, is that correct for you to take us
Yes.
to non-public?
And Dave, I think you know how to do this better than I do, so.
Yep. I've locked the webinar.
Okay,
Okay, so nobody can join. Now, attendees, please don't take this personally, but I'm going to go ahead and kick you guys out of the meeting. We will contact you when we resume public, and thank you.
Okay, so now we're open to the public meeting. I will make a motion to accept the renomination of the list of teachers, paras, and others for the upcoming school year.
Mike, just let me offer one correction. It's not paraprofessionals. It's, if you want me to read them for you,
Yes.
I can do that.
Thank you.
So
I'm
the
sorry.
renomination is the motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation of renominations for Seabrook School certified staff, teachers, and administrators of the elementary and middle school for the 2021 school year.
I'll second that motion.
Thank you.
that was Jessica?
Was.
Okay,
Okay. We have a motion and a second. I'd like to take a vote if there's no other comments.
okay, I'm gonna do a roll call. Mike Rabideau,
Yes?
Jessica Brown,
Yes.
Forrest Carter,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
Kelly Huber.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you.
Right.
The next motion is to accept the superintendent's recommendation of Jessica Parsons as the Director of Special Services beginning July 1st, 2020.
I'll make that motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to accept Jessica Parker as special services. No other comments. We'll have a vote. $40 minutes.
Okay,
Are we good?
yes, I'm gonna do the roll call. Are we ready for that? I had lost the audio for a moment.
Yes.
Okay, Mike Rabideau,
Yes.
Jessica Brown,
Yes.
Forrest Carter,
Yes.
Jennifer Hubbard,
Yes.
and Kelly Huber.
Yes.
Great. Thank you.
The
And
next
go ahead.
sorry. Next motion is to accept the superintendent's recommendation of a 2-year contract for Jessica Parsons as Director of Student Services for Seabrook Schools, effective on July 1st, 2020. And I guess I would add to that as presented.
And just so you all know, we do have 3 attendees back with us. We have Mark Dangora, Jessica Parsons, and Lauren DeConstant are back.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
Got it. Thank you. We have a motion and a second to accept the contract for Jessica Parsons. Any discussions? If not, we'll take a roll call.
Going to do a roll call with Mike Rabideau,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
Forrest,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
and Kelly.
Yes.
Congratulations, Ms. Parsons.
Yes, definitely.
Congratulations. Welcome.
And the final piece of business is a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation of Janine Richards for the elementary guidance counselor position for the 2021 school year.
Do I have a?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Have a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second to accept Janine Richards as the elementary school counselor. Any discussions? Roll call, please.
Mike Rabideau,
Yes?
Jessica,
Yes.
Forrest,
Yes.
Jennifer,
Yes.
and Kelly.
Yes.
Terrific.
Great.
Thank you. So just so board members know and those in attendance, we will be in touch with these people with respect to these hirings, contracts where appropriate, so that they can sign off and they can give appropriate resignations to their districts.
Great. Thank you.
So the last remaining item is to adjourn, and I didn't do this at the beginning. I should have. I want to welcome our board members as well and thank all 5 of you for your support during what is really has been an interestingly difficult time that teachers and administrators have just responded to so well on behalf of students. So thank you to the 5 of you for your support. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd also like to thank the SAU administration and the teachers and everyone for carrying through and making this happen.
Thanks, Mike.
Absolutely. Thank you all.
Thank you.
There was a message that popped up in the chat from Jessica Parsons. She said, thank you.
Oh, nice. So we just need to adjourn.
A motion to adjourn. Anybody want to make that?
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Forrest, you want to leave now? Second?
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Rhonda, I'll take
Mike?
it. Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
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 Look at that.
I'm losing connection.
Me
And
too.
a minute and a half to spare for our next meeting. How about that?
All right, guys.
Take
Thank you,
care.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye.